Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap video. Today we have another build with Shuri. The first draft was okay, it performed pretty well, but it didn't utilize Shuri all that much and it left a little bit to be desired. And Shuri, I think, is one of the stronger Series 5 cards, along with, surprisingly, Galactus. The others, I think, will find a spot. I think they'll find their own as we get maybe Silver Surfer is going to really help our Valkyrie and our Bast out, I think, quite a bit. But otherwise, I think most of the Series 5 cards are just okay. And so I wanted to give Shuri another shot, and a lot of this deck was brewed by a member in my Discord, Pilk Enjoyer. He's been very supportive and active in the channel. I think this build does a lot of things well. Now, I did take out one of the cards. I took out Bishop, and I added in Black Panther. And my reasoning for that was that I wanted another kind of win condition if we don't draw into our Red Skull. I wanted another good target. That way we have 3 solid targets in our Maximus, our Red Skull, or our Black Panther to use Shuri for. And then we always have a target for our Taskmaster at the end of the game. And so this list is kind of separated between 2 different parts. It has a lot of really high tempo, so it has your cards that are really low cost, so like Angela, Nightcrawler, Iceman, Ant-Man. And then it has ways to protect your higher high rolls with your armor and your Cosmo. And then it looks at the late game. So you're going to be able to push and kind of keep up with the power push in the majority of games with your Angela and your lower cost cards. And then as you transition into the later part of the game, you're looking for that win condition. Now, this does a couple of things. It helps you with your tempo so that you can control whether you have initiative or not. And it also clogs up the board a little bit. So if the opponent is running some kind of counter movement style cards like Arrow, then you're going to be able to be less susceptible to getting your cards yanked around. Now, ideally, if we can, we push to not have initiative on that very last turn. That way, whenever we copy our huge Red Skull, our huge Black Panther, our huge Maximus with our Taskmaster, we don't have to worry about a preemptive Shang-Chi destroying it. Now, wherever we drop our Red Skull, we want to have that protected with either a Cosmo or an armor, or have it zeroed out. But if we zero it out, then we of course can't use Shuri, and so then we have a couple of ways to utilize that card. But otherwise, the early game is tempo, the later game is your big power push to find your win condition. The list runs pretty similar to the other one, but let's go ahead and jump into a few games and I'll show you how to navigate it. All right, first up we have Mono, and the first location is Sewer System. We do have Angela, we have armor to protect our big resource. We have 0 to 0 out a card. We can 0 out Maximus on 3 potentially, maybe on 4, depending on what we draw into. We could do 0 and Maximus on 4. But it really depends on what other resources we draw into. Oh, and I apologize. I apologize. My monitor broke, and so we're at a different aspect ratio than we were originally. And I forgot to adjust the deck list, I guess. You can see it correctly now. So we do get Red Skull, which is going to be a good turn 5 drop. I think we do armor into the Titan lane. I was thinking we do Angela, but I think we're going to protect this location. Now, they could be running a Galactus deck. Those are kind of getting pretty popular. And so if we can prevent that from if we can prevent that from happening, then we absolutely will. So I'm going to play Nightcrawler as a way to protect this lane a bit. And then we can move those cards where we need to. Next turn, we might do a 0 Maximus. It just depends on what they have and what they play. Now, if they're trying to send us a Goblin, we absolutely have them countered with the Nightcrawler, and we will force a retreat here in Bar Sinister. The good thing about the Shuri list is if we do draw into Shuri, then we are absolutely going to be able to absolutely going to be able to just destroy one of the lanes with something like a 240 power Red Skull, which is absolutely insane because they stack on top of each other, similar to the old Onslaught mechanic. So they destroyed a few of our cards. I didn't see what all they destroyed. Honestly, I missed it. Shuri may be at the bottom of our list, but I think what we do here, I'm going to play 0. We'll play Red Skull into Bar Sinister. That should give us enough power here. We'll move all our Nightcrawlers out. And then we can copy that 15 power with our Red Skull, and I think that should be enough to find us that win condition. At least that's what we're thinking. I think they probably play a Killmonger here. It's going to destroy our Nightcrawlers, our Yondu. That's going to give them a free death, which I was running a little bit of. It's pretty decent, but it has a kind of a max capacity to the power push that it can do. So let's go ahead and play our Red Skull. That's going to give us 15. That's going to give us 60 power in Bar Sinister. Even if they have their strong death, they're not going to be able to match us in Bar Sinister. And so then we only need to find the win condition in one other lane. And we have a 15 power push. So if this is a wave, we know that they might be able to have us, but we know that we at least have a pretty decent shot here. Oh no, so it's arrow. I'm actually okay with that because we still have the 45s, 12, 24. That's 48 power here. If they play their death here and let it multiply, we can do our Taskmaster here. We already have the win condition here. That's what we're going to try. If they do a leader play on this final turn, their leader will actually copy the last card that they played, so it will copy the arrow, which is not going to be enough to find them the win condition here, unless maybe they play leader here and they multiply 2 of these Taskmasters. Maybe they can find the win condition, but we are going to assume that they're not going to be able to. So the Magneto actually tries to pull something back. It's not going to be able to make it. They are able to win Bar Sinister because they have 4 12 power units. We only have 3, but we're going to win the far left and the middle location because the power push is just too large. Now, had we been able to draw into Shuri, that would have been phenomenal. We would have had a massive, massive Red Skull into Taskmaster. We'll try and get one of those games for you guys. All right, next up we have Vibes. And while this list is very strong with the Bar Sinister location, it doesn't require Bar Sinister. This deck list will perform very well even without it. You might take out the extra high roll of Black Panther so that you can get some earlier game kind of strategies or gameplay going in your Bishop, but otherwise the rest of the deck list stands exactly as is. It is going to be a very, very strong list for you to be able to run and just have a lot of flexibility in what playline you can do. Now, if they have a Goblin here, then they're going to send it this way and we're not going to be able to stop it. Next turn, we will drop Shuri, and if we need to skip until we get one of our stronger units, we absolutely will. And so let's go ahead and play our Angela. That's going to give us a little bit of a push. They hit us with the Scorpion. It's not terrible. They could have hit us with 4 Scorpions. Oh my gosh. And then we get Red Skull. So we're going to play Shuri. And then I think we still skip on turn 4 anyways. I think we want to save how big this power push is going to be to surprise them. Let's go ahead and snap. I think they will think it's a Goblin and they will play into Bar Sinister. That's fine. We're not aiming to win Bar Sinister. We're aiming to win Elysium and Expansion. And so we're going to play Shuri. I'm pretty sure that we will skip on turn 4 just so that we can save the Red Skull for kind of a surprise push, and if we can draw into our Cosmo as well, then we can do a lot of good things as a result. They do storm the Bar Sinister location, so they're going to have to actually play into that lane this next turn to be able to win. Oh, and they get Atuma out of X-Mansion, and ooh, so we do get armor, which is going to be perfect. We're going to be able to protect our Red Skull, but we need to play Red Skull first. So let's go ahead and skip this turn. That way we have 5 energy, we can do Red Skull and armor. If we draw into our Taskmaster, we might wait 1 additional turn, but we have a pretty decent push with the Devil Dino in X-Mansion, and if they play anything else there, with Atuma, he will destroy himself unless there's something that's protecting him there. So they do play Jessica Jones. They will win the flooded lane, but that's fine. We don't need that location. And then we get a Cosmo to stop any kind of ongoing cards. So let's play Red Skull, and then I think we need to follow up with an armor play, because Red Skull is going to be like 240 power, and then we just need to find our win condition in X-Mansion, and we're hoping that they invest some resources here, because we're not going to be able to Taskmaster on the final turn, because we don't know if we're going to draw into it, so we need to protect our upside with our armor. And they actually get the Red Skull from the leader, but they don't get the massive 240 power Red Skull as a result. And so we are able to keep our upside there. Their Atuma destroys himself because there's another card in that location. Absolutely nuts. Let's go ahead and do a Cosmo into a Maximus. And I would say we can go ahead and play a Zero or a Nightcrawler, but that's going to hurt our Devil Dino, and this lane is not our concern. This lane is this lane is absolutely fine. So let's do Cosmo, Maximus, just in case they have an Odin. For some reason, they might have an Odin play to try to re-trigger their leader. That's not going to allow them to have enough. And so that's what we're going to lock in. I think ooh, no, they are flooding the location. So maybe they have enough power to outpower us. The Killmonger does not trigger because of our... Ooh, neither does the Shang-Chi. And so it is not enough. Having the Cosmo, having the armor to protect your massive, massive cards is what is going to make this list perform consistently. That's going to get you those 4 and 8 cube games, whereas otherwise, if they didn't have those potential pieces, they would most likely retreat after seeing the massive 250 power play. But by having Cosmo and armor, we can protect ourselves from Shang-Chi in 2 lanes, and that's all we need. We need to win 2, and then the other one we can just give the opponent. And so we didn't get the absolute high roll with the Taskmaster, but we will absolutely take a 253 power lane. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Next up we have Corbin, I believe. The first location is Death's Domain. We don't have anything that's going to shoot power to the side, unfortunately. So we're going to, if one of the locations turns out to be Barson, actually, we can protect it with armor. We're fine. We have armor to protect the Death's Domain. Ooh, and they're running a hella discard list. So depending on if we can get Shuri or not, we can, I think, find our upside, find our win condition. I'm going to play Angela into the far right lane. That's where we're going to start kind of pushing for some additional power. If it turns out to be Bar Sinister, that's fine. No, it's Wakandan Embassy. So we increase our upside even further. Let's go ahead and I'm going to play our Cosmo into the far right lane. If we draw into Shuri next turn, we'll play it here or even here. And we're going to be shooting for playing the real Red Skull here and then the copied Taskmaster in one of these other 2 lanes. We don't get our Shuri. And so I'm going to play our armor and our 0 into Death's Domain. They have Lockjaw. Whatever cards they cycle into will not be able to trigger. And so if they are shooting for the highest high roll, if they're looking for a hella discard or they're cycling, they're not going to be able to get much upside in this lane unless they just have a large minion list. And so they do play into Hala. We play our 2 cards into the protected armor lane, and we have 0, so next turn we can do Red Skull. It's going to be canceled out. We can then copy that with a Taskmaster. Ooh, they have the Space Stone, so they're doing a rotation Thanos list. Very interesting. I'm curious how well that works, because that's not how I would have thought it's not how I would have envisioned the Thanos list being played. And both of these, the own reveals didn't trigger, so they didn't draw into additional cards because of our Cosmo. And so the cycle is not necessarily as strong as it could be otherwise. So we're going to play our 0'd out Red Skull. That's going to give us a really big power push in Wakandan Embassy. And then after that, we can play Taskmaster in either Hala or Death's Domain, depending on what it looks like we might need. And then there comes the retreat. The massive Red Skull, they realize that they are outpowered very drastically. So even if Thanos had the highest high roll and got the +10, that's only +18. We had a +17 Red Skull. So Thanos is a really interesting card. It's a deck building puzzle for sure. Finding a consistent way to utilize that, it may not even be going all in on Thanos. It may be finding that win condition in your other cards. But I don't have Thanos, so I'm not able to jump in and try to work out that jigsaw just yet. Someday I will get lucky enough to pull him, but so far we're having fun with the cards that we do have. So let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Seawit-tastic. The first location is the Daily Bugle. They get one of our cards, we get one of theirs. It's Wave, so that's probably a good sign that it is like a Death Wave style list. And so we need to kind of be on the lookout for those signs. And so Yondu destroys our Nightcrawler. That's okay. We're okay with Nightcrawler being destroyed. That gives us a better chance to draw into our Shuri at some point. Ooh, and Limbo extends the game. And typically with Death Wave style lists, the biggest upside is that they do a really big power push on 6, but after that, they're usually kind of gassed. And so if you have one that can benefit from the extra turn, you usually can find some upside. I'm actually going to protect the Daily Bugle with our armor because running a Death Wave myself, I know that they are going to want to destroy these 1-cost cards. They're probably sitting there just salivating because of how much that will discount their death, and they're not going to be able to. This lane's going to be protected. We do have our Shuri and our Red Skull. If we can draw into our Taskmaster, then we can find ourselves with a almost unbeatable layout. And I'm not going to snap because I don't want to scare them away. Next turn, we will drop Shuri into Bar Sinister. Ooh, they use our Maximus, which allows us to draw into our Taskmaster, which is phenomenal. We honestly don't need anything else. We're going to play our Shuri. Next turn, we can play Red Skull here. They're not going to be able to destroy it. We can do a Taskmaster. We can wait a turn before dropping our Red Skull. We're just going to have a lot of flexibility here. And so then they drop the wave, which is fine. We also don't necessarily need the extra energy. They might be able to place a big death, but this lane is very capped out. They're not going to be able to do much here. And we're going to have a massive 240 power Red Skull coming in, and we will copy it with a Taskmaster on turn 6 or maybe even turn 7, depending on what it looks like they might be running. So let's go ahead and drop that. Again, if I was pushing for as many cubes as I could, I would snap here, but I'm pushing for content instead. I want to showcase just the insanity that this list is, especially with Bar Sinister. Now, I know that this wasn't in my top 5 deck build video. This is something that I brewed over the course of the day. I had most of this list already built out just for a video, and it just so happened that it works very, very well with Bar Sinister. Okay, and so they play one card. They play the massive 10 power She-Hulk, and we play the massive 240 power Red Skull. And we get the respect that it deserves of the wow face. It's an insane amount of power to push onto the board. So let's go ahead and skip this turn. We have the Taskmaster that will copy Red Skull. If they do an arrow play or a leader play, both will copy the Taskmaster, but it won't be as strong because it's not going to copy ours if they have initiative. And so we're gonna give them the turn because we don't want the leader to copy our Taskmaster. Actually, no, the Taskmaster would re-triggers on reveal, and so it wouldn't keep ours even if they copied it. So they play the demon. They play an arrow to try and pull our card over into the Daily Bugle, which is kind of what we were anticipating. We did have the chance to play the 0 there to counteract it last turn, but I did want to save this as kind of a last turn surprise so that we could see it all the way through the end, because otherwise they would have realized they lost and they would retreat before this last turn. And so let's go ahead and play Taskmaster first into the 0. That way Taskmaster makes sure to copy Red Skull, and we have the 0 play. If they do a leader, if they do anything else, they just can't keep up with it. We have the massive 240 power Taskmaster, which is absolutely insanity. This list is so much fun, and it's so much fun on a normal day, and it got even more fun with the hot location. That has now gone away. I hope that you guys enjoyed the hot location. I wasn't able to get gameplay ahead of time just with the schedule as tight as it is, but this list runs and performs very optimally even without this hot location. And so it runs almost exactly the same. You play early tempo into a Shuri just anywhere, and then typically, even if this wasn't a massive 240 power, if it was just a 30 power push, that's still enough to lock down and win that lane, and then you can copy it. All right, next up we have Snap Trap. And the first location is Warrior Falls, which is an interesting one. It's always kind of tough to play around this location. You want to be very certain that you're not going to lose your cards or your resources, because then you're just throwing them away. We do get the Superflow as the second location. We could play our Maximus here. We have our Taskmaster. We have our Red Skull, both of which are phenomenal. I'm going to go ahead and just play Ant-Man into this last location while we see what's going to be best. We might play Black Panther on 4. We might play Shuri on 4. It just really depends on what we draw into. I guess we could play Shuri on 3 if we draw into her here, which would probably be the best case scenario. No, we draw into armor, and we're going to push cards over after turn 4. I'm going to just go ahead and play armor into the Bifrost. Next turn, I think we play our Red Skull. If we play our Red Skull, that's a pretty big power push. We can copy that with our Taskmaster. You know, actually, I'm going to play our Red Skull into Warrior Falls. I'm going to try to destroy this Shocker. If I can destroy any of their additional resources, maybe we can find some additional win conditions. Now, we will get pushed over into the Superflow. We'll have one less energy next turn, but honestly, that's okay. We're going to destroy their Shocker. We're going to get pushed over into the Superflow. Red Skull is now safe here, at least from the Warrior's Fall kind of fighting. And we do get Shuri now. So do we copy our Red Skull, or Or do we play Shuri? That way we have a double trigger, whatever we play here. Now this one could be 15 with the Taskmaster. It could be 15 this turn. Or if we play Shuri, that's going to double this to 8, and then it's going to double again with the Owen Reveal to 16. So it's 1 additional power, but we're investing quite a bit into that turn. I say we're just going to go with the Taskmaster. I think that, I mean, Shuri is the flashier play, but I think Taskmaster is going to be the more solid of the plays. So they do a Dr. Doom, which pushes the Doombot to the left and the right. Our Taskmaster is going to destroy their Doombot. So we are keeping the lead in Warriors Fall, at least for now. If we can hold that off, that's going to be our win condition, would be here and here. Because I don't think they'll have an individual card that is plus 15. Now they may flood this location, but we're going to try to stop that. And so if they do an Ultron here, each of the cards are going to be 3 power, so 3, 6, that's 12 power here. That's going to be 3, 6, 9 additional power here, which would beat the 15, but we're going to invest pretty heavily here. I think that's our win condition. Let's go ahead and lock in the... Ooh, no, they play just a lot of cards. Depending on what they play into Warrior Falls, if it's a Shang-Chi for some reason, I'm going to be really sad. Otherwise, I think we have protected our upside enough in the Superflow. I don't think we have to worry about that location. And then the Cyclops. So that is a really, really big power push, but we're able to beat it just barely. We beat their Squirrel Girl in Warriors Fall because we invested so heavily into the Superflow with the Angela, into the Maximus, into the Iceman to give us an additional 13 power. We were able to outpace them here and keep our win condition. So I am going to go ahead and end the video after that one. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you have these cards, if you have Black Panther and Shuri, definitely try out this list. It is phenomenal. It gives you kind of the best of both worlds. You have tempo and you have a late game power push and several ways to get to that late game power push. But as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.